Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights into the modern regeneration of the show. Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher, or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WhoKnewPodcast. All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com. You can leave comments there, or email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. We also have an Instagram and Twitter account. Tweet at us at whoknewpodcast, and find us on Facebook. Today's episode is the 11th Hour. It's the first episode of Series 5. The Doctor attempts to figure out this new regeneration with the help of Amelia Pond. This episode is written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Adam Smith. It originally aired on the 3rd of April, 2010, and was watched by 9.59 million viewers. Hi, this is Eugene. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hello, this is Frank.
This is Kelsey.
This is Josh.
This is Heather.
Hello, this is Auburn.
This is Brian.
The Doctor has just regenerated. A damaged TARDIS is falling to Earth as she is tossed out and... Wait, that's the current Doctor. Where is... Here it is. Thanks, Frank. The Doctor has just regenerated. A damaged TARDIS is falling to the Earth as he hangs on outside after being tossed out the door. He crawls inside and crashes the TARDIS in the backyard of Amelia Pond. A young girl who has just been praying to Santa to send someone to help with a strange crack in her wall.
So Matt Smith.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I know you guys are Big Ten lovers, but I have been waiting literal years for this moment. So I am so excited because I am an 11th Doctor girl, so.
Is it everything you hoped?
Well, the look of disdain I'm getting right now.
No,
No, not anymore.
Well, I want to start off by saying I always liked this episode, but now that I've probably watched it a few times and been doing the podcast and everything, I think this might be my favorite episode of the whole series. I think I was so excited when he regenerated. I didn't think I would be, even though I knew it was coming, we were doing all this. I didn't expect myself to be as jazzed when this Doctor showed up, and even with the episode. And I'll go on to explain why as we do it.
Yeah, this podcast commentary that I'm going to give is going to be very different from any podcast commentary I would have given years ago.
Huh.
Because I am a 10th Doctor, and get out of the suit. You're a little manic, crazy little boy thing. But he's not anymore. Now he's the Doctor.
Yeah.
So to watch it now is a very, very different experience and very fun.
There's so many things that happen early in this episode and throughout the episode that now knowing where it ends up story-wise episodes later, I really get a charge out of that first viewing. You would never know that it even means anything.
There's a lot of setup. Lot of setup.
There's a lot of setup, and as a result, it made me enjoy it even more, which makes it one of my favorites.
I like the total reset that we get in this cold open. Even the main credits are different. I don't know if I think it was you, Eugene. You were telling me back in 2010, you were like, yeah, Stephen Moffat's the new showrunner. And I was like, huh? And you were like, he's the one who did Don't Blink.
Blink.
Or Blink, yeah, sorry. He's the one who did Blink. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so awesome now. I was excited to see where Stephen Moffat was going to take Doctor Who. I just like that we get a total reset.
I was surprised at the parallels between this opening and Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
The whole start was very much...
Well, even the first episode of the new series with Rose and the 11th Hour, it starts off in space, the moon, planet, and then it goes in deeper. So that's also another parallel.
Right, but the Earth was off kilter.
Yeah.
North wasn't straight up kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I thought was great. I love that shot. Other things that to me seemed to be more of a goodbye to the past episodes were showing the London Eye, which is the first episode of the New Who series, which I thought was great. Going and just missing Big Ben Tower.
For comical effect.
Well, it's also because it got hit before in the previous one, and there was one other thing that I think they passed over that just...
There was that newly constructed, I think, dome or something?
I think it's the M2 arena, which is actually the TARDIS. To retcon this properly, the TARDIS actually has not traveled through time yet, because that would not have existed in Amelia's time. That was built for the Millennium.
And this is their little Easter episode, possibly. In that Amelia, it's Easter just is going on, but she's still praying to Santa. That was kind of cute.
Did I wake you?
She's freaking adorable. I just love this girl. And I know she's actually related to
Karen
Gillan. It's her niece?
Is she really?
Cousin. And
But not close. It's like they didn't know until they were filming.
Is it like all Scottish people are a little bit related?
she really does give off the right vibes, though, for who Amy ends up being. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing, too, is I was never really a true fan of Amy, but now when I see these episodes, I see adult Amy as this little girl, and it makes me like her more. It gives her more depth to me. And I, once we'll get into this damaged little girl who grew up with this baggage because of what happened just makes the story so much more endearing to me.
it also makes me, because I used to hate her. I used to be like, she's rude, she's all this stuff. But now that I've seen it a few times, and like the things you were just saying, Josh, everything about her just makes so much more sense. And I love her now. I love her now.
Yeah,
So.
of course she can't commit.
I'm still not a big fan of Amy in the beginning. I'm a big fan of Amy when Rory comes on full time. Rory to me makes Amy a
But
better
that's what
character.
I love. I love that she doesn't start off that way. I think it's important that we see her make that change. But anyway, I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, well, we need to.
She still does some things that are just
I
wrong.
agree.
Yes.
For me, I like the transition that we still get the same composer, so the music matches what we've previously heard, and here it sounds more swashbuckling, adventure-like, as the 11th Doctor is hanging from the TARDIS. So that to me is like an easy transition period, to lack of a better term.
You mean from last season to this season, sort of thing?
Yeah, to get you used to, this is a new guy, this is a new showrunner, it's going to have a different look. And then you have the same things you're hearing, so that makes it easily more acceptable for you. When the Doctor's hanging from the TARDIS and crashing to Earth, that's a new piece of music. It's called Down to Earth, and it's a new piece that Murray Gold wrote for this version, this new season. But it still sounds similar to what we've heard before, is what I'm saying. Some little nitpicks is that the action of the 11th Doctor hanging from the TARDIS doesn't match completely, but I understand. It's just a lot of chaos going on.
One other thing I liked in the main title sequence is the TARDIS is being hit by lightning as it's crashing.
And the time vortex, time portal is now a cloud rather than like ethereal space stuff. So I like that too, because the lightning fits with the motif of the clouds. Mm-hmm. I think I have to say, talking about this version of the theme song, this is probably my favorite after the one that Murray Gold first did. It's grown on me, but I originally did not like the 4th season
With all the
theme
strings
song.
added.
This one, without like the piano and the more guitar, more strings. And then this one I like because of that, maybe because of that sonar sound effect.
I know what you're saying, and I like that sound too.
Good, I'm glad we agree.
Amelia goes outside to see a wet, raggedy man emerge from the TARDIS. She takes him inside and feeds him a wide assortment of food, which he tries and spits out. After settling on fish sticks and pudding, excuse me, British English, fish fingers and custard, he goes to investigate the wall, discovering it to be a crack in space-time. They hear, "Prisoner Zero has escaped," coming from the other side. He enlarges the crack with the use of his screwdriver and sees a huge eyeball. The crack closes onto itself. The Doctor thinks Prisoner Zero has escaped into the house. The cloister bell in the TARDIS sounds, and the Doctor runs outside. He tells Amelia he'll fix the problem and be back in 5 minutes. She packs a bag to go with him when he returns, and sits down outside to wait.
Now, does this sound familiar to anybody?
Which part?
Oh,
Madame
yeah.
de Pompadour?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, Girl in the Fireplace from
Right.
season 2.
That's true.
You just made it creepy.
Was that a Moffat episode?
Correct.
The whole, this whole creepy mystery of the crack in the wall and the voice and the eyeball, like, this is all part of why I love this episode so much, and I think it's just, it puts so much into just a few minutes. And then Amelia's excitement to go with him, and then she runs outside and then sits and wait with him. It's so endearing, and then will become heartbreaking in just a minute.
Matt Smith is very, very good with kids. They use that several times throughout his run on the show because it's just electric every time he's with a kid. So I love it every single time it happens. and I love his intro with all of the eating the foods and being kind of manic and confused and bipolar. And it's kind of like for everybody who was super, super nervous about not having David Tennant anymore and instead having this guy who nobody knew who the heck he was, they're kind of, I just imagine them sitting there and being like, except for you. Maybe. I can imagine,
Thank
but for a
you.
lot of people,
No, I
because
was there.
I read the articles, the reactions, they were very, very excited after this episode. He gave them a lot of hope.
I didn't hate it. They could have replaced. It would have been any replacement for me. This was the first time that I had a doctor regenerate as I was watching in real time. So it really was
Right.
like, I wasn't ready for Tennant to go and get out of his suit. And how dare you destroy his suit? And, oh, look at that. You're using his Sonic. Oh, you killed his Sonic. I hate you. So
I get it.
It was just, I just wasn't very happy watching this the first time.
I like this kitchen scene, and it's a good one that's like, it's good on repeat viewings. Like, I still laugh. Like, I don't know. This kitchen scene is
It
great.
must have been disgusting to clean up that set, though. That's what I kept thinking.
And there is a great, great tiny bit of foreshadowing. There's so much going on in these opening episodes, so much of setting up the big mystery of the season. But with the apple, Amelia's mom isn't there. She's gone. And, we don't know
Both
what
parents.
that means. Yeah. Both parents are gone, but we don't know what it means. She lives with her aunt. But Amelia does remember her mom and remembers her mom doing the specific action of putting faces on the apple. So she's not remembering her mom in just a vague way. She's remembering them in specific ways, which will become important later. And it's a very subtle thing.
And she also gives it to the doctor, gives the apple to the doctor. So
Yes.
she gives that memory, the physical manifestation of the memory to the doctor.
Yeah.
So talking about that food eating scene, I did some research, and the doctor has not liked carrots before. And in the Sixth Doctor with Colin Baker, he was forced to drink carrot juice given to him by his companion at the time, Melanie Bush or Bonnie Langford. And he said he did not enjoy it. That's consistent with the character.
I, too, do not like carrots, so hence why the 11th Doctor and I are so deeply connected.
But what gets me is Amelia's life. We don't know at this point what happened to her parents. That they're gone. She's living with her aunt. She does not like being there. She asks the doctor if she can go. At that age, she wants to travel with him. He goes, yes, just give me 5 minutes. I'll be back. He answers her kind of in a positive yes kind of
Right, like
tone.
he's
So
gonna
she
take
knows
it.
that's how she takes it. It's like he's coming back so we can go. He doesn't recognize that at all.
He does have that moment, though, when he's saying to Amelia, well, all these strange things are happening, and the box, having this stranger in your house. So what that tells me is that crack's a very strange crack.
Yes.
So
Great
it is.
scene.
It is that identification that this is companion material. Now, granted, she's a little girl. It is kind of like you have to accept the fact that a stranger has been invited into a little girl's house when there's no one home, and it's after dark, and this shouldn't be happening. But it's
But
a
I
TV
also
show.
like
Move on.
that he acknowledges that, Brian. He says, you're not scared of me. You should be. Like when they're
Right.
at the table in the kitchen. So
Right.
even he
Right.
understands
Which-
the creep factor.
but no, and I get that, but at the same time, it's kind of a creep would say that. It's like it's really just you got to really ignore the reality
Yeah,
of
but
the
I also
situation
think
that's
right in
going
the
on.
middle of him kind of drawing a lot of posing a lot of questions, he's interrupted by the cloister bell. So he's not even. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
he's not even thinking it all the way through.
Yeah, like he didn't
He's
even
also
get-
percolating.
Yeah. So he hasn't even. Everything's just happening too fast. And
By the way, the cloister bell has never been so loud.
it hasn't been so cloistery.
I mean, they can hear it in the house upstairs.
Well, the door's open.
Well, the door's open, and they open outwards instead of inward. You notice that?
Oh no!
Because they have
I
always
noticed it
opened
because
inward.
I love the way in that opening scene that he closes it behind them and then sits against them. I don't know why, but I really noticed that this time.
Yeah.
The pace of this episode, I know we mentioned it has that more manic style, like a lot of the cameras are always moving, but One thing that I do really like about it, it seems like we're just about to lose the story, the main story, and then something happens to bring us back to it and connect to it, but not... It's like never like artificial. It always feels like the arcs back to the story are well thought out, and they travel and then they come back to whether it's Prisoner Zero or to Amy, like just at the right time. Like just when you're about to be like, "Well, this is too crazy," like they come back and reground it. So that's like the whole episode. I like the pace. I think it works well.
I also love how when he is saying to her, I'm just going to leave for 5 minutes, I'll be back. And she's like, oh, everybody goes away. And he's like, no, it's okay. He actually does say, trust me, I'm the doctor. And that's the first time he says, I'm the doctor. And it's not one of those big musical crescendo, oh, we've built towards this moment the whole episode, which actually does kind of happen later on in this episode. He's just saying it as a reassurance to a little girl.
They also don't follow it up with Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right. And that's also important because of what everyone in town says to him later, like when they all know his name.
Yeah. I also like the part where he's still cooking and he breathes out the little bit of regeneration energy. The way it's lit, it's just amazing. And the special effects match the lighting in the evening, and everything about that scene is just... I just love it. I just wanted to point that out. And we've seen that done before with Christmas Invasion, where David Tennant does the same thing. When the doctor returns, he can't find Amelia. He shouts for her that Prisoner Zero is here, and then is hit on the head by a cricket mallet. A policewoman handcuffs him to the radiator and calls for backup. He asks where Amelia is, and the policewoman says she hasn't lived here for 6 months. He can't believe he is back so late and wants to know where she is.
We all knew at this point when we saw it, right?
No.
No, I didn't. Originally, I didn't.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I agree.
I had no clue.
Oh, I'd seen all the promo pictures, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I all this was fresh to me when from the whole run of it when I started watching. So I thought she was a policewoman. I thought everything, and I didn't quite catch that he had been gone that long. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. It has been so long, but I do remember I got fooled by that. I did notice watching it this time how they slowly reveal things about her outfit that are obvious. That that it's
That's not standard?
Yeah, it's not standard.
The shorts
right.
in black.
And
leggy.
then the back of her pantyhose, the seam of her pantyhose, and
Yeah,
stockings.
I found this time around, this not hit me this way when I originally watched it, but this time around for the podcast, I just thought it was a little gratuitous and
Moffat-esque?
maybe lecturous.
Yeah, it's Moffat-esque.
Yeah.
Now that we know Moffat's...
Yeah, when he pans from her feet to her legs,
The
I was
first
like,
shot? Totally.
yeah, I was like, dude, what are you doing? It was weird. It just struck me in the wrong way this time.
It's true, though. We
It's
see things
2019.
through different eyes now. It's really fascinating.
But it does give you that wonder going, why did she hit him with the
She-
mallet, or did she come after it? So they had some good questions and not really knowing what's going on, but you got an idea of
Well,
who
guy
she
ran
is.
into her house. She hit him in the head. Why?
Right, yes.
Because she's
But
police, why didn't she
why- yeah.
announce herself?
If
Why
she's
would
the
she-
police, she
Oh.
would not have hit him with a
Yeah.
cricket
Well, to me,
mallet.
it was. I always thought that she wasn't wearing that outfit when
She
she
wasn't.
hit him.
No, she wasn't.
She put it on.
She said it
after.
was either that or a French maid, and this
Right.
worked better.
So that's right. That's right.
Yes, that does make sense, but but it is one of those things as a viewer when you watch it the second time, going,
yeah.
why didn't I see
Why is she
that?"
wearing a skirt to begin with? The
Yeah,
first shot
the
of her,
mini-
like Eugene just said, is her wearing a skirt?
That's
Legitimately, I was like, I'm an American actor. For all I know, that could be standard issue. I don't know.
But you have to give it to the doctor because he's still in the process of regenerating. He's still cookie dough. Gotta get in there.
Yeah. There's so much going on in this scene that the first time I watched it, second time I watched it, third time I watched it, I don't even see that it's a cricket bat that she hits him with. I don't even hear the doctor say cricket bat. And there was a lot of other stuff that is said in this scene when he's tied to the radiator that I missed just because of the fast pacing, because of Matt Smith's accent, because of her accent even. So it is, I think they did a good job fooling, because I was fooled. I was a person.
There's also this one thing that she says when she talks into the fake radio, and she says, this guy says he knows something about Amelia Pond. And even though I, like Brian, knew that was going to be Amy, even I took a pause when she said that. I was like, wait, what? So
It's a good misdirect.
it is a good misdirect.
I want to know what Amelia was thinking at the time. Because does she recognize the doctor? Does she just think it's someone that reminds her
No,
of the
I
doctor?
don't think at this point she's put. I think it's been so long, and therapists have told her, she's been sort of re-brainwashed that this didn't happen. So it's so off her radar at this point.
No, I don't see it that way. I see it
Really?
as she has completely freaked out, going, this is the guy dressed looking exactly the same as 12 years ago. And she doesn't know how to process it yet because she's got everything going on where it's like, I was crazy, I'm crazy now, but
like
I'm not
maybe
crazy.
right.
But see, I'm not crazy.
No, I was just going to say I agree. I mean, this girl made dolls and drawings and everything, so.
Or a similar scene that I am equating this to is in Terminator 2 when the T-200 walks around the corner and Sarah Connor realizes that this is everything that I feared is here. So I sort of see it in the similar way as that.
I was wondering when she said that Amelia hasn't been here in 6 months. Is that when she changed her name to Amy?
I was wondering, I still, after all these years, go, what's the big deal between Amelia and Amy?
I think she's a
She
grown
grew
up
up.
now.
I know.
She's not a little girl.
So what's the big deal?
Because it's a beautiful name. It's a
That's the
lyrical
thing.
name. It's a
Everybody,
fairy tale name.
They really do make. I always thought that there was going to be something. There was something that was. I am not Amelia anymore. I am, but not physically. But mentally, I don't want people calling me Amelia anymore. I want them to call me Amy.
Well, that's probably what it was until this episode.
But they don't say that.
But it could be she does in response to his questioning. Why did you change your, why Amy? Why not Amelia? And she responds, it was a fairy tale name. So it could be that she is more grown up now. She did put that, but it's still in her room. But she is trying to get away from that and change the name to be the adult.
Okay.
And I also took it as part of her quote unquote healing.
Yeah.
Because the doctor had given her, that's such a fairy tale name. So part of her moving on from the Raggedy Doctor isn't real is putting all of that away. Like Amelia was probably a trigger or, a reminder of that time with the Raggedy Doctor.
But I want to go back. I think when the doctor is looking at the wall with the crack, he says, you've had some cowboys in here, which is another reference to Girl in the Fireplace. He's on the spaceship and he's seeing that there's body parts used to power the spaceship. And he's saying, wow, you've had some cowboys in here. And he says that same line when they go into the crack and look at things up.
I never knew that.
He's just saying that people have been messing with this place. That's what he's saying. Shaboogans have come through this place.
At a nearby hospital, Nurse Rory tells Dr. Ramsden that all the comatose patients began calling for her. She doesn't believe him until they once again call out Doctor. Rory brings Dr. Ramsden to one of the patients, a man with a picture of himself with his dog on the nightstand next to his bed. Rory tries to show her a picture on his phone of this patient walking around outside, but she won't listen to him and walks away.
And now that is a reference to The Empty Child, where all the patients in the ward go up and say doctor.
Technically, she's right. These patients cannot be out there. None of these patients can be out walking about. So technically, she is right, even though she's not paying attention to what's really going on.
It was very story point reasoning, rude of her to just not look at the phone. She'd be shoving in her face.
I'm like
you
really?
you just suspended me from my job. Can you please just look at this phone? Maybe you won't do that. I felt that was a bit much.
Yeah.
Also, a little nostalgia factor, too. It's
Yeah,
like,
for the
why
phone.
am I looking at a phone? Well, it also takes photos. You're kidding.
Yeah.
What kind of magic is this?
2010 seems like such a ancient time now. What were we doing before phones were on our cameras?
But just and the way that Rory and the Doctor play it, it's so natural and so like if they were writing it now, there'd be a little bit more wink wink to it. But since that was modern times, they just write it totally straight. I love it. And again, this we're being introduced to Rory, and I love Rory.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah. But I get that there's a huge backstory here, kind of like you did with Waters and Mars with the characters, where she is just done with him completely. No matter what he says, no matter what he wants to do, it's going to somehow she sees it maybe as a threat to who she is or authority, or just, you're doing this again? This is the only thing I wanted you to do. A, B, C. Stop going on and stop having problems with it. Just get this done.
Last time you told me to look at something, it took 2 hours.
Yeah, he does play Rory very mopey in this episode, and I guess that kind of always stays until his confidence.
Yeah.
You know, this is the beginning of his character arc.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's never really this.
He's Willow.
He's Willow.
In my mind, watching this scene, I'm watching it at a premiere or not a premiere, but like they did at Gallifrey 1 where they showed the first episode to the whole audience. And I just see, like, I wanted to get up and clap when I saw Rory come in.
Right.
Yeah.
Because so far, all of our, like, introductions to characters have been a little, like, slower pace. Like, we saw small Amelia before we saw Amy. But this is just, there's Rory. He's right there. No fanfare, nothing. And I just, like, one of those midnight screenings, everyone would just stand up and start clapping for Rory for the
Totally.
first time. Yeah.
But I also love the fact that it's 2 scenes with Rory in before we get any sort of connection
Yeah,
to
yeah.
him being important.
Right.
Yeah,
It's well written. That was clever.
because the mislead for me is the editing. You have the doctor be hit, and then it cuts to the hospital with the ambulance
And
going.
you think
to-
he's going to be there?
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's not, and it's this other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just think that this is one of those random,
Things that's just
not
going to
random
tie in.
characters that they're just there to be like, well, this weird thing's happening.
And
A
info-
one-time person.
Yeah, like exposition.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember Rory being in any of the promo materials.
He's
No.
not. I looked.
Yeah, it's all Amy,
Yeah, I believe his part was supposed to be a one and done type of
but
thing.
he just did so well.
Yeah. Do we also notice who is among the comatose patients?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes!
Academy Award winner.
Academy Award winner!
Olivia Colman.
Queen Anne is in the hospital.
We were all like, "Did you notice her? Did you notice her?" And I'm like, "I did." And then I was like, "That's not Olivia Colman." Because what would she be doing in a Doctor Who episode?
She's in everything.
And
That's what she says.
Long
yeah?
story.
just this week on Twitter as well, unrelated to our podcast, I follow IO9, which is a science fiction blog, and they had an interview with Stephen Moffat where he said he really regretted the character that he gave Olivia Colman in this because he thought that he could have used her so much better.
Totally.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen the episode since seeing Olivia Colman for years. And so what surprised me was they're showing the guy in the bed with the dog. And then the only other patient on the ward that gets a close-up is Olivia Colman, who I never caught before as the woman later in the episode. So this time you see that and it's like, oh, very good. They had her. Okay, well, they're paying for her. May as well put her in the bed.
Oh, she was creepy as hell.
No,
yeah.
she was really good. And you watch, I mean, I remember, I think when the next time I saw her, which I believe was Broadchurch, when I went, that's Prisoner Zero, because she makes an impression. She's really, really good. She can make the phone book sound amazing. But I agree with him. I wish it was a much bigger part. You know, somebody who's around for a full episode and really.
They can always
give
bring her
you some-
back, like Martha's cousin.
Well, she's in a coma. I mean,
Yeah.
the woman can just wake up.
It's true. What else? Oh, I should look up like what she had been doing as of 2010. I'm sure quite a bit.
She was
Hot Fuzz. She was in that.
It was before this.
I think so. Yeah.
And not IT, Peep Show.
Yes, she was definitely
Peep
in
Show
Peep
was on for
Show.
like 12 years.
At
She
least-
was for a very,
yeah,
very long time.
Like definitely first season, but after that,
She was somebody.
yeah.
But at the time,
To the
not
British
to me.
audience.
And not to me.
And not to
in
anybody in America.
2010, she wasn't anybody.
I think the only time
to me.
an American would even get her on a radar would have been Broadchurch,
That was after this.
but way after this.
Well, Hot Fuzz. That's how I knew her. Hot
Yeah.
Fuzz was big.
But she
and then,
wasn't.
and then, you know, like, because the thing is a lot of people were saying, we love that woman who won Best Actress. Who is she? It's like, she had the greatest speech. And it's like, it's Olivia Colman. She's awesome.
Right, she's the reason I watched The Favorite.
Exactly. She is the reason I wanted to
For
see The
me,
Favorite.
Yeah, for Broadchurch fans.
It certainly wasn't for the plot.
It's like she's been on things and people like her, but I don't think she would have warranted. Oh my gosh, she's on this episode
I
yet.
think she was more along the lines of that is a character actor who you see in everything. But I have no idea what her name is.
She's a that girl as opposed to that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I think she was even just credited as Mother.
Mother,
Like,
Yes,
her character didn't
that's what
have
I
a
have
name.
written down.
Yeah.
This is mother.
Yeah.
One thing that has not been answered for me that's bugging me is why did the patients call out doctor?
I know.
Oh,
I know.
really?
I know. Do you want me to tell you now?
Please.
Or later, because it's a plot thing. It's a plot thing. I'll save it for later.
But
What?
But they're doing it now.
They're saying it
Oh.
is explained
Yeah.
later
yeah.
on why
Yeah,
they're calling.
To me,
saying-
it is the psychic link of a living but dormant mind. The doctor is knocked out from the cricket bat.
What
Oh.
the?
That's what I assumed.
And prisoner one's in the house.
0, right?
That was my answer. Maybe there are other answers.
No. The funny
do I.
thing is, I really like that answer. The doctor is unconscious at this point near prisoner 0, and prisoner 0 is all tied to these people.
And the doctor just ran in saying, "Prisoner 0 is here. Prisoner 0 is
Yeah.
here." While Prisoner 0 is there.
So, and prisoner 0, yes, and that to me just was a telepathic bleed. But I do like it. The doctor's unconscious.
Heather, did
There
you
was
have
no
something?
Matt Smith in this scene, so moving on, please. Thank you.
Cool. Moving on, we shall. Back at Amelia's house, the policewoman claims that she lives there now. The doctor tells her that this house is special. There is one more room in it than she can see. Just out of the corner of her eye, she counts the doors and is surprised to find the extra door. She goes into the room and picks up the doctor's sonic. Looking out of the corner of her eye again, she sees Prisoner 0, a serpent-type being, and runs out into the hallway. The doctor uses his sonic screwdriver to lock the door and free himself. He discovers she is not really the police, but a kissogram girl. Prisoner 0 breaks out of the room and takes the form of one of the comatose patients, the man with his dog.
All right, this is a point where Amy does the thing that it was the reason that I didn't like her for a long time. She directly is told, don't do something. Don't look behind you. It's in the corner yard. Don't look at it. And the only thing she tries to do...
Name one companion who hasn't ever done
She's
that.
worse. She's the worst at that. She's just the worst.
The doctor even comments on it again in Girl in the Fireplace.
Yeah.
Why can they never
Never listen.
But he comments on it
Do I
right
have
now.
a face that no one pays attention to? He's like, what's he say? I must have the face that no one pays attention to.
Again.
I like that, but I didn't quite understand the joke. Like, I liked it, and it's just a reference to like companions never listening to him.
Yeah, they never listen to him. Plus, if somebody tells you not to, don't
I know.
blink.
Don't think
blink.
of a purple unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like don't look down.
Yeah.
You're gonna look down.
The door that's there, or the room that's there that no one can see because the multiform is having put in a perception filter. It didn't detract. It didn't take away from my enjoyment of the episode, but it took a really long time, maybe like fourth or fifth viewing, for me to really understand what was happening
Because
there.
you can't see the fifth door that Amy is counting. Because of the camera angle, it's going down the hallway,
Yeah.
and there's a door at the end.
I've always been able to see the door though.
But it's
No,
not
no,
obvious.
there's some door-
There's like
she's-
the obvious door that she's not counting, and then the other one right next to
Yeah.
it. It's like, so when she's counting, your eye stops on the first, because we don't have a perception filter. So the eye stops on the, and it's like, for the longest time, I thought that the perception filter door was the one that was on the hallway.
right, like
And it's not.
It's not. It's a little confusing.
I think it had been, I wish they had moved the camera, not really Amy's perspective, even though it's a corner of the eye, but just so that we could have seen where the doors were.
Yeah, we
just
needed
a
to
little
see
clearer.
the doors that she was actually counting.
Right.
Yes.
And
A
at
better
one-
establishing shot, which even do a rotating shot,
Yeah.
so that you can count the doors with her. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they accidentally shot it not thinking of that, and then in the editing room they were like, crap. And then they just, when she counts, make sure we're on her, not the doors.
I do have a question, and I wonder, Eugene, if you have an answer. Okay, Amy goes into the room and she gets the sonic screwdriver. I don't think, and it's covered. It's gooey. I don't think they used a real prop.
It looked like a toy.
It looked like the pen. It looked like
Yeah.
the pen sonic screwdriver. And the reason why I think they did that is because they were about to get rid of the sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, 'cause-
and they didn't want to build another one to destroy it, and so they just used the pen.
Because
It's smaller and
Because when David Tennant left, they gave him a copy of each suit. So he has a brown one, a blue one, he has a coat, and they also gave him a sonic screwdriver.
yeah.
do you think they used the gloop and ectoplasm, whatever, to try and cover it up a little bit more?
Yes.
But that's why it's cheaper to buy something that's already made instead of creating a new one, because when
But it is risky because it doesn't look screen accurate.
right, but because the anecdote that I have is that when you're in a movie or TV show show and you have a home video camcorder and they want you to destroy it or do something with it, like it goes away, it's cheaper to buy that than to fabricate one to make it look real.
Ah.
So that's probably what they did.
Yeah.
Just to make it's easy save on budget. Also here we get the final fully realized 11th Doctor theme when he breaks out of the handcuffs and
I
starts
Am the
running.
Doctor. This is my favorite piece of music in all of the run of the show ever.
It is an amazing piece of music.
Yeah.
And I really am thrilled at how sparingly they used it from that moment on.
Yeah.
And not at all.
Well, no,
They rammed that music down our throat,
I know, but I don't
it's
care.
so good.
When I
Oh,
watched,
you being
when
sarcastic?
Yeah, I was being sarcastic.
But I got this whole episode. I got choked up. I got chills. I was in everything about it, from the music, and then Amy's music theme has this heartbreaking.
Reminds me of the Ood.
Yeah.
It's got a music box quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
With the haunting choir, and at one point there's a piano, I think. But anyway, the Doctor's theme is entitled "I Am the Doctor," which is very appropriate.
It's very fresh here, so it doesn't feel like it's shoved in anywhere. But like the way it comes up, and just the way it comes up with he's finding his footing. It's perfect.
The Doctor talks to Prisoner Zero and realizes that both the man and the dog are one entity, confirmed when the dog is silent but the man growls. Suddenly, a loud booming voice says that the residence is surrounded and instructs Prisoner Zero to leave or it will be incinerated. The two run outside to the town where the Doctor learns that this woman is Amelia Pond, now Amy, and it's been 12 years and 4 psychiatrists since their first meeting. The voice is now coming from any device with a speaker. Ice cream trucks, phones, televisions, everything. They go to a friend's house, Jeff, who recognizes the Doctor as Amy's old raggedy man, childhood invisible friend. The Doctor realizes that the residence the aliens are talking about isn't Amy's house, but the entire planet Earth itself.
And I love how everyone recognized the Doctor, because why would they recognize him? But it's such a small town, everybody knows each other.
Hi, Amy.
Okay, like everyone in town just knows everyone as if they're family. So they're gonna know all of Amy's rantings about the Doctor.
Because I had another Americanism when it's like the Doctor is like, "What's that?" And Amy's all, "It's a duck pond." Well, then where are the ducks? And it's like, what's the big deal?
I was going to make a joke that it's like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy where they just leave. The dolphins just leave.
Thanks so long. Thanks for all the
Crackers and
yeah,
bread.
crackers and bread. But yeah, but to me, it's like again, it was another one of those I was looking for significance. And he's, a duck pond without any ducks. It's like, yes, in America, we just call that a pond.
Right.
And when the ducks show up, we say, look, there are ponds and there's ducks in the
there
ponds.
now, yeah.
Because we're at Nan's house. Is
Yes.
that where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at Nan's house, and Nan does talk a little bit about like Amy's job. Like, oh, I thought you're a police. Oh, you're a police officer now. I
Nurse.
thought you were a nurse.
Yeah.
Or a nun, or so. What is Amy's job? Like, does she really just dress up and go to parties and kiss people, or is that a euphemism for something else?
Oh,
No, I
that's
think
a-
she really goes to
that's
a
a
party
job.
and kisses.
Okay,
She's a
that's a-
kissogram girl.
That's a thing.
Yeah,
Like a singogram.
like a singing
You
group.
know, they send to somebody for their birthday.
You got to filter all this stuff through Stephen Moffat.
But is it a real thing, or is
I
it
think
something
so.
he
Yeah,
made up?
Like a kissing booth, you know.
Well, look it up.
I don't know. If you're at a party and you pay somebody to come and kiss people, there's probably
It's a
something more.
prostitute.
We have kissing booths. Even back Happy Days showed that they had kissing
Yeah.
booths.
This is not a kiss.
I
But
think
I'm paying
it's-
a woman to come to my party
No,
dressed up. and
you're
kiss
not paying a
people?
woman to come kiss you. Someone said, "Hey, Oprah's at that party. It'd be really funny if we send one of those kissograms over there to find him and
oh,
kiss him."
that's
Okay.
better. I'm paying for someone to kiss Auburn.
Yeah.
Aubrey's not paying for someone to kiss Auburn.
Right.
No.
Just like you don't send a singing telegram
yeah,
to
you don't to
yourself.
yourself.
What if I want to be lifted up?
Yeah, that's
I
true.
do think that it's inferred that
She's
she's
a
using
stripper.
her looks and her sexuality to get by in life.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, and that's part of it.
And it is also kind of a running thing with Amy, where it's like, what is your job? You seem to be doing anything we need you to do.
It's probably one of her 10 jobs.
Exactly. It's
Also,
It's
look,
real.
she's a model.
Who is she kissing?
It is real.
Because they
Yeah.
all know each other in that town.
Yeah. Oh, Amy's gonna come kiss the constable. Ha ha
Yeah.
ha. It's a laugh. Yeah.
Also, too, actor-wise in this scene, the guy who's playing Jeff was most recently seen as on the Umbrella Academy as Luther,
Oh.
and he's well known besides that, right?
Yeah, Jeff is played by Tom Hopper, and he's also Dickon Tarley in Game of Thrones.
Oh, he's one of the Tarleys. That's right.
Oh! Apparently they have the same casting.
That's interesting about the duck pond, though.
It's called out. I mean, he does. It's like,
Right.
why are you mentioning this?
He said sheds a light on it. Sheds a light on it.
Okay,
That's the phrase.
that I'm missing or what?
Yeah, when Moffat writing and going, he sheds a light on the duck.
I see what you're saying. Yes,
yes.
That's a good way to say it.
And speaking of sheds, trying to get that segue in there,
I had that too. Go ahead.
the doctor tastes the shed to find out the age, how
Yes.
old it is, which I thought was a good callback to
The 10th Doctor. Yeah.
Yes.
But he doesn't lick it.
That out
He
of your
doesn't.
mouth.
What?
He puts his hand on it and then licks his finger, right?
Yeah, he changes it a little bit,
He
which is
changes
good.
it a little bit, which is
nice.
just like great.
Because his taste buds aren't cooked yet.
Yeah.
That leads to a whole great interaction between him and Amy. It's like, no, I destroyed this shed back when I did this. You said 6 months. This shed's at least 10 years. Taste it. It's 12 years. Why did you lie to me? Why did you say 6 months? And he'll come back. Why did you say 5 minutes? Loved that
That
bit.
is so good.
And that moment of realization is great.
I mean, that is so well written, same as the scene just prior to that, where the doctor is trying to save their lives by saying, okay, well, we call for backup, so we're safe. They didn't call for backup. I know, I was just doing that. So we didn't call for backup, so we're safe. Okay, we did call for backup, but we're safe. No matter what happens, he's trying to do that. It's a great bit of writing.
Yeah.
Love that
They
scene.
work really well together, Karen and Matt. Like, I wonder, I would have loved to see their audition process for this show. They're just great. But, like I was saying earlier, with Matt Smith is really great with kids, and he's really great with Karen Gillan, and I think he's just really great. Can we all just agree on that?
I can.
We all agree that you think he's great. There's also another line at the duck pond where he says, it's too soon, I'm not done yet. And at first I thought,
Oh, when he reacts in pain.
he was in pain and he collapses at the duck pond. At first I thought, does that mean is something gone wrong? He's going to regenerate again. This is too soon. It was like, no, he just regenerated and he shouldn't be doing all this stuff. He should be resting like all the other ones that we've seen. It's like he should be sleeping, resting to fully regenerate. He's still cooking. It's like, oh, I'm doing this. This is going on too quickly.
It's like his chest, and he reaches his hand under Tennant's jacket and clutches, right? So I always thought, like, okay, he is in pain from regenerating. But now I kind of wonder, is it the key? Because I don't think he's not ready to go back to the TARDIS. He's busy. He's busy.
Yeah, no, because he pulls out, he gets hurt and then he pulls out the key.
But
No, this
later,
is
when he has the
later.
key, it is like, it looks like it's freshly
Glowing.
glowing.
Yeah.
Right.
And he grabs it from inside his suit pocket. And the regeneration thing totally works too.
He's really good at looking like he's getting electrocuted, too. he jerks and jolts very well.
Yes, Matt Smith is very expressive.
How old was he?
26. I was waiting for you to ask that.
He would have been like the Dick Van Dyke type, if this were a different time.
But with a better English accent.
Come on, leave the guy alone. He's 92 or
Oh,
something.
I love Dick Van Dyke.
The aliens place a force field around Earth, causing the sun to look very strange. Searching the town for something to use to stop them from destroying the Earth, the Doctor sees Rory recording the man with a dog on his phone, which is odd since everyone else is looking at the sun. Rory is Amy's boyfriend and recognizes the Doctor from Amy's stories. He tells them that the man with the dog can't be there because he is in a coma at the hospital. Prisoner Zero needs a dormant mind to manifest itself. Overhead, a spaceship with a huge eyeball searches the area for the prisoner, so the Doctor sets off the sonic to get their attention. It activates everything electrical in the area before the device blows up. Prisoner Zero turns into glowing dust and escapes back to the hospital.
I like, too, how Rory even picks up on that this is the Doctor.
But it can't be real. He can't be real, but this is him.
What do you guys think about the way that it's revealed that Rory is what is not like one of the things is not like the other?
It's one of the reasons why I didn't like this episode at the time, because I said, if you're going to do crazy production nonsense like that, I'm not going to be very happy. And then they never pulled that again.
You mean the way it kind of ticked around? I didn't mind.
Yeah, it went around the park.
I was just gonna say, it's very Sherlockian.
Yeah, I agree.
But they didn't last it. They didn't last for Sherlock or The Flash or things like that either. They kind of stopped it or toned it down. I liked it this time. It's going and seeing everything again.
I like it now because it's a one and done.
Yes.
I've seen this episode a bunch of times, and even watching it today, I couldn't remember what we were getting to with that. It's because it never happens again. It's like I forget it ever happened at all. It's incongruous, if you will, with anything we've seen.
They did want to make a point to show a close-up of Rory's badge.
Yes.
Because he did draw a lot of conclusions that he was right about. Like, he knew that about the coma patients before Rory said anything about the coma patients and so on.
I kind of, maybe this is how the doctor thinks. And we're getting to look at, like, how his brain works. And I like stuff like that. If
See, and
it's
I was
used
going, if you're going to make this
sparingly.
doctor think this way, I'm out.
Are you bothered by the idea that he can kind of make a point to perceive everything his eye came across, whether he was looking at it or
No,
not?
I'm bothered by
Okay.
the production.
Okay.
They could have even done it where the doctor is looking at the sun, and the doctor goes, "Why isn't that guy over there not looking at the sun?" And turn
David
it.
Tennant does similar things to that sometimes.
Yes.
He'll be talking about this
Yeah,
one
and
thing,
again-
and at the very end, he'll be like, and why is this thing like that? Like a complete change of subject.
Right. And I was deep in Tennant envy at this point. Yeah. It was another new thing for me to go, I don't like change, but I like all the other changes. Plus, all the other thing too is now I know, and he's looking at Rory, and Rory is awesome.
And when they introduce a minute later, Rory as Amy's boyfriend, kind of.
Sorta. Did she say kind of or sorta? It doesn't matter.
Well, I think they say a couple different things, but I immediately thought of Mickey and Rose. She was always kind of a class above him, and he just kind of took it.
He tagged along.
Yeah, and so it reminded me of them a lot, which I liked. I liked that circular feeling.
For me, the gimmick, I never liked it, even though when I first watched it, so I'm glad it's one and done like we've just discussed.
Gimmick. That's a good word. It's a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have somebody in the park go, "Oh, not again," when they see the spaceship in the sky. But how far is Ledworth from?
Now, the interesting thing is, if you really think about the time period in which this is happening, I'm 90% sure that when this is happening with the Atraxi, the Doctor's with Donna.
How do you get
In
that?
what episode?
This episode.
When
Like,
is that?
if the duration's the same, then when he, like, around Partners in Crime then. Because, number one, remember, ever since Rose and the first season, the Doctor's timeline has been a year ahead of the viewer. Ever since Rose came back a year later rather than 12 hours later, they never make mention of it again. But, to Whovians, we've always been seeing every single one of these episodes, we are a year behind them. Now, this is going on, and 2 years from now is when it's like, for the viewer, a year after it's a year after the specials, 2 years after Donna's season. So if this is 2 years earlier than that, this is the Doctor is off with Donna.
Because we start in 2005 with Amelia, young Amelia.
19.
Right?
We're in the 90s with that.
Oh.
The TARDIS goes
How
wacky.
do we know that young Amelia is 1990 something?
We find that out much later.
But it is April 96 when it's Amelia.
Yeah.
And then later on, it's February 2008, and then June 2010.
Yeah, so the end of the very end of the episode, when she goes off and travels with him, we're back to the present with the viewers. So you need to be 2 years ahead of that for the Atraxi. It could be that, Donna just misses it all again. This is the whole day where she spent hanging out in the bathroom, and he spent hanging out in the storage closet.
Or she was in the sunbathing pool in midnight, and he was off on the
Oh yeah, they could have been
excursion
off
bus.
planet. But I'm just thinking, if duration-wise, this is the beginning of the season. That's the beginning of the season, and it's all just a joke anyway.
This is all just speculation.
Yeah, this is a television show, and I really don't need it explained.
Also, just as a side note, this is something we mentioned earlier. It doesn't look like Ledworth is real.
It is not. Stephen Moffat made that up.
I didn't know that. I was just trying to figure out how far it was from London, and I was like, what?
Moffat did that because everything in Doctor Who, like the new stuff and the companions, they all came from London, so he wanted to do something not typical.
Mind blown.
But he sure makes a point of pointing out that it is in England. It is in England because this poor little girl has a different accent, so she's really made fun of British people.
And she's ginger, so she's probably
Oh,
made fun of
double
a lot for
whammy.
that too.
You know what? It's probably true.
And Josh, is this the reason? Is this the reason why the Doctor has a bow tie rather than a long tie?
Why?
Oh,
What?
Oh, I never thought about that.
Car.
It doesn't get caught in a car door.
All I was going to say about that was how the man whose car it was talked to her like she was family.
Yeah.
You know, like Amy.
Oh, hi,
like,
Amy.
Usually when, those two types of characters come across each other, they don't know each other. They're not in each other's lives. And he felt perfectly comfortable to a certain, albeit annoyed, to kind of like, all right, I guess I'll just get my keys from her later because I see
get
her
a
every
coffee.
day. Yeah. It's just funny how, like in Chiswick or in, in Cardiff, it's a whole town of people that, even though it's a small town, they don't know each other. There's strangers walking amongst them, but everybody knows each other. I just found that to be very charming and different.
I did like how the doctor brought the apple back.
Yes,
so it was the
that was
same
great.
apple that Amy had.
And it wasn't rotten, it was still fresh.
And she doesn't trust him because like, just trust me for 20 minutes. That's all I need because there's a time frame on this.
Right.
And that scene where Amy and the doctor with the apple, I don't know if you noticed this, Eugene, but there's a huge blue lens flare that comes in from the left side.
Yes, and I think that was done after the fact.
Oh, yeah, because the light coming onto Amy is this huge orange sun glow, and like both that blue and that orange together. That's something that I haven't seen before a lot in Doctor Who, and I don't know if we'll see it.
I don't think we do either like that, but I think it's done for a visual cue that Amy is now accepting this man as who he was before, and she trusts him. And it's again just a visual cue of like, aha, like a light bulb going off type of thing.
But it was one of those like super cinematic, like awesome lighting that is new for this, and it just stood out to me.
I didn't realize they were setting up the fire engine for later on when he's activating everything. Then the Sonic just blows up. That's so sad. And he leaves it on the ground.
I said it before, but this episode, like, it keeps setting up like these little pieces, like the fire truck, and then it brings it back. And that's something that I really enjoyed about this episode, is all those little pieces that, you think that you're off track, but all of a sudden it all comes back together and you're like, oh, that was actually driven by story and not by like a Deus Ex Machina of the Sonic or the TARDIS saving the day.
And then I guess the apple, his pockets are bigger on the inside, so he can keep that apple in there.
And refrigerated or something.
Don't they make a joke like
Well,
that?
it's fresh still in his timeline, isn't it? Yeah.
Now I'm on the plane of just how cleverly written this episode is and how packed it is with amazing stuff. And I feel like the bar was so high with David Tennant, and they knew that fans would just have such a hard time. And I feel they actually stepped up to the challenge. And there are so few times that happens in life. Like, I feel like I am constantly disappointed by TV shows.
Or Doctor Who.
Yes, unfortunately. So, I just, when you see everything that they put into this and how hard everyone tried, it's like, why can't everyone always do this? Like, it's so frustrating, but in the best way. And they knew they were going to have to work for it, and they put in the work.
And I'm sure Moffat's been busting at the seams at this point to, take control and do a whole bunch of things that, even though they probably worked well together, that he wasn't in charge, and now he could like just burst with all the things that he had planned.
Women in short shorts.
Yeah.
Redheads. Scottish.
I remember really, really not liking Amy because to her, it's more important that the doctor explain to her what's going on than to save the entire freaking world. And then she treats Rory like crap.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do feel sorry for the little Amy who got left behind, and obviously she's damaged and went to therapy, but I didn't feel sorry enough. It was an excuse to me for how horrible of a person she was being the rest of the episode. So.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what I remember feeling as well for a while. It's been so long, and now I have a different point of view of watching these episodes now, but that you're kind of tapping into what I remember feeling about her too. But it's not that I like her more, but I find her more interesting.
Yes, exactly. I don't mind it as much now, but it's definitely obvious to me why I didn't like her at first.
Yeah.
Now watching it again, I'm very glad we're watching him again. Knowing the character, you understand more where she's coming from and how she is saying things. Before, I took it more literally and dry, and she just doesn't care, or she's bossy, all that. Seeing it now, it's like what she goes through, and you know that's how that person is. I've done it with a lot of other people where it's like, oh, that's how they communicate. It's not that they don't feel, it's not that they're trying to be mean, it's just that's what goes on. So I'm glad watching it now to appreciate it, because I did not like this when it first came out.
I actually appreciate it double because they didn't create just this how do I say this? She's a product of her upbringing. She has a unique character. She's true to her character. She's not just, I'm sorry, she's not just Clara.
Oh, don't apologize.
There's no Clara fans here.
It's just a nice, pretty girl. She's just a nice, pretty girl. And I mean, they do give her a little bit of a thing later in her arc, but Amy's unique and she has a very distinct personality. She's not just another pretty face. So I really like that about her.
And they probably also coupled her with Rory, who balances that out.
Yes.
When the doctor runs to Rory, you have in the background is Amy also running, but because she's in that tight little mini skirt, her run is more of a little shuffle, and then she has to stop at the rope and do a little hop.
The doctor sends Rory and Amy to clear out the hospital and returns to Jeff's house to use his laptop. He breaks into a conference call of world leaders who have gathered to talk about the change in the sun and the aliens that have caused it. He writes a computer virus on Rory's phone that will reset all counters and sends it to them to distribute everywhere.
All I could think of was, ew, don't touch that computer. Ew.
Oh, because Jeff. But Nan is Jeff's Nan, not Amy's Nan.
Yes.
Jeff's Nan.
Right, okay.
There's a great doctor moment when he's, telling Jeff, you can do this, This is your moment to save the world. He's doing what he does. He builds people up. He shows them what they can do, and then they step up and do it. It's a great little doctor
But he also
moment.
gives them certain motivation to feel that way. I think this whole episode has such a sweeping momentum. By the time he's on the rooftop yelling at the aliens, you're like, yeah, you yell at those aliens.
Who's Roger Moore?
Patrick Moore.
Oh, Patrick Moore. See, who
For
is
us
he?
Americans who...
Roger Moore was
who's-
007.
He's a scientist.
He's not, but he's a real person.
Real scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he like a Neil deGrasse Tyson for Americans, where he's like on TV
Like
or?
when we said we didn't know. Patrick Moore is not a scientist. Patrick Moore is a Canadian businessman, nuclear energy advocate, environmental consultant, and former president of Greenpeace Canada.
I don't know why he was on that conference call.
The conference call, that's what the doctor was saying. It's like, people are going to be talking about this. Let me find a group that will then believe me and send this stuff out. I was surprised why they didn't have Unit Torchwood, but because they would have different protocols and not do things as quickly, I guess. But I'm thinking, he's the doctor. They know him, and they would go, the doctor's saying to do this, let's do it. But he doesn't go for that. He goes for just the other ones who would have
Social
a wider distribution
influence.
at the time, I guess.
Maybe Patrick Moore wrote a letter and was like, I really want to be on the show. And they're like, how can we get him on the show? And then they're like, we'll just do scientist-y people instead of unit. Okay, cool. Let's do it.
In the hospital, Amy and Rory find a woman with two young girls who tells them that the man with a dog left. They notice it is the woman's voice, but one of her daughters is speaking. They run as the trio chases them into the coma ward. Prisoner Zero says she watched Amy grow up waiting for the doctor, who bursts through the window on cue. She says the aliens, the Atraxi, will kill her if they find her, and he asks why she doesn't open another crack to leave. She didn't open the cracks, yes, plural, and is surprised that he doesn't know about them. She warns him that the Pandorca will open and silence will fall. At that moment, the virus he wrote is activated and the clock in the room resets. All around the world, all counters are reset to 0, broadcasting it globally. The aliens track the origin of the virus to Rory's phone, which the doctor is now holding. So there's a couple things here that are references to the previous version or incarnation show running regime of Doctor Who. We get the text "duck" as the ladder goes through the window.
Right.
And that is a reference to Blink when he tells Sally Sparrow to duck.
Right.
And then we get you guys might have missed this. There's a bumper sticker, sort of. I take it as an American as a bumper sticker on the fire engine. Vote Saxon.
I didn't see that.
I did not see that.
I think he's driving it from the American driver's side. He's not driving it on the opposite side.
You might be right.
And it's underneath the driver's side window on the front. It's a black sticker with white lettering. Cool. It says Saxon.
Oh.
With a checkbox.
Maybe this episode is taking place in the period before the Doctor, Jack, and Martha jump back.
Could be.
So the Master's on Earth, but the Doctor's not.
Hmm. They could be in the future.
And then when the Master does his all things, everybody forgets about
this.
this.
Yeah. And then also here we get 2 references of the Pandorica will open and silence will fall. I don't know if I like it this time around. It seems like very blatant in our face as opposed to like hidden.
It is
what
very
I'm
on the
saying.
nose.
I wish it had just been one, and I just wish it had been the Pandorica.
Yeah.
And
Now-
that's in retrospect because I think that the Pandorica is answered. Fantastic.
Not the other one.
The silence is not. And we
I-
had to wait a whole other season to go, that doesn't make sense.
And I agree with you.
Doesn't the Prisoner Zero says it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the significance of
Exactly.
him knowing it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's why this bugs me on this second time, or you know what I mean. Like, revisiting this, I
Yeah.
don't like it.
Okay.
I did like how the Doctor figured things out. He needed the cell phone, for Rory with the pictures, but then he also needed a laptop because he knows that he's going to write the virus on the phone so they can track it, but needs to sell the laptop so he can talk to other people and send it out.
Yeah, to
'Cause
have
it-
them send it out too.
I mean, it did take a while to figure out why is he doing this? Why does he need a laptop? Why does he
Yeah,
just need the phone?
it's-
But I like how it paid off and that he's thinking and you can see that he's working to make for the big picture. The payoff for the fire engine. The Sonic activates it and it's going down the street with the firemen following it. So you think that's just a visual joke. But then when the Doctor needs to get to the hospital, he has that look in his eye, I have my own ride. And then you see him driving the fire truck there, extending the ladder. Which window are you in? Which is the closest? And then bursts in right when they're talking about him. So that was like great timing.
Yeah.
So it was a
Convenient
kind of
window
nice little
placement.
payoff.
And can we all agree that we're all glad that he never says "who demand" again?
Yes.
Yeah, but I thought it was a cute gag.
We calls himself out on it.
You really liked him instantly, didn't you?
Okay, well, you know that he was the first Doctor I saw before I went back and watched
Oh.
I've told that story
Yes.
before.
And I remember
we
that.
don't
Some of us
Because
listen
do
to you.
I saw that one episode, which is coming up in this season. Amy's Choice.
Oh,
I knew it was an Amy episode.
And then I went back and started from 9. So maybe I liked him because I was waiting for him.
Okay.
He
12
was your
years.
first Doctor.
You were-
It was always something
Yeah.
special.
So you were Amelia, waiting for him the whole time.
She's the girl who waited.
God, that hurts.
Oh.
I waited.
I just want to give you a hug now.
Okay, next time I'm in California.
Amy passes out as Prisoner Zero uses her now dormant mind to change into the form of the Doctor. Well, the Doctor and a young Amelia Pond. The Doctor talks to the real Amy and tells her to think, dream about the form of the serpent she saw in her house. This causes the creature to change into an impersonation of itself. The Atraxi recognizes Prisoner Zero and captures it. The Doctor calls the Atraxi to meet him on the roof after he acquires some new clothes. He says their threat of destroying the planet crossed a line and warns them that this planet is protected by the Doctor. The Atraxi basically run.
So if that was young Amelia Pond, that means the Doctor's the dog.
My favorite part about this
Oh, it's
whole
a tin dog.
Havana.
about the beginning of this is when Rory's basically saying, "You're bringing them back."
Yeah.
The whole-
Why are you bringing them back?
I just want to. What I appreciated is the way that the monster, the villain, is eventually foiled, is not with some technical speak or a trick that I don't understand, but by something that I can easily understand. Think of this. She thinks of it. It turns, and that's how the creature is,
Well,
captured. And I love that. Like I understand that. I could follow that. I understood what was happening.
It's a great
and-
payoff to her actually looking at it in the room.
Yeah, and it's that thing that Auburn's been talking about, that the writing, the everything coming back, and everything having a
Payoff.
meaning, a payoff, a setup, and a payoff, and nothing is done because we needed it. We're like, oh, how do we get out of this? Oh, let's do this.
and to use the villain's own power against it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I get that. I understand that.
So in this portion, there's a reference to Classic Who, where the Doctor is changing his clothes and getting his new outfit. It is the Third Doctor and the Eighth Doctor have both found their outfits in hospitals. The Third Doctor, when he regenerated, he immediately fell down and then was in the hospital, and he pilfered, I guess, the staff's lockers in Spearhead from Space. And then the Eighth Doctor did the same thing in a hospital in the Doctor Who TV movie.
Oh, there's a moment when the doctor walks by Rory and gives him a little pat on the head. It happens very quickly, but when you see it, you're like, oh, that is their relationship in a little nutshell. It's a very like condescending almost. Like, oh, poor little Rory.
You're changing your clothes in front of us?
You're not looking away?
That is a scene that they would not have done with Jodie Whittaker.
Oh yeah, that's I meant to bring that up about how when Amy watches the Doctor change, if the sexes were changed at all, would never have happened.
Well, I totally agree with you guys, but I also think that this is Amy. Like, this is what they have made her. I don't necessarily feel like it was needed, and it certainly would be a double standard thing. However, it's very Amy.
It is in character.
The building and location used as the Royal Leedworth Hospital was also used in Spearhead from Space. It's the same hospital that the Third Doctor found his wardrobe in.
Oh, really?
And the same hospital in Torchwood in the episode Sleeper.
Someone has an email contact there.
One thing I noticed that I think was a mistake, just in production end, is the Doctor called the attraction back and then says, are the people of Earth a threat to you? Have they been invaded before? And at that point, they're showing all the different species that have invaded Earth. But one of them was the Hath, the fish-like people with the breathing apparatus, going, that was a different planet. That shouldn't be in here. That they didn't invade. It just seemed somebody in production said, get all the different aliens and we'll put all this together, not knowing.
That's when you have a new crew taking on and they don't know what they're doing.
But I do like the way that whole thing is staged, where he comes out, he has different ties. So he's got a tie now and throw it away. And he's talking while he's doing this. And then it's like, well, is this place protected? Check. And they run all the Doctor's faces. And then, of course, at the perfect time, he steps through with the completed bow tie. Hello, I'm the Doctor.
Oh my god, I got so many goosebumps. So many goosebumps. I was like on my couch, and I've probably seen this episode 30 times, and I was still freaking out. So good.
It's really done well.
I love any time they reference all the old
Which
Doctors.
is that's the crescendo I'm the Doctor moment.
And you, Brian, you mentioned, like, you said to Heather, oh, you were just instantly loved him, or you're instantly a fan of him. I was instantly a fan of him at this moment.
Yeah.
You also see him really get his bearings throughout this episode, so that anytime you see someone grow, you're going to empathize and sympathize with them, so...
And also, I like it when they show and reference all the other Doctors, especially with knowing how the Ninth Doctor left, and to see him now incorporated within the canon, like within the next Doctor, when he shows the info stamp and it shows all the Doctors and Eccleston is included, and then in here in the 11th Hour at the end when he's included in all the little montage, I guess you can call it. I like those moments.
Oh my gosh, 11th Hour. I just got it.
Wait, did you
The TARDIS key materializes in the Doctor's pocket. It is fixed. The Doctor takes it for a test spin as Amy and Rory watch it disappear. It reappears late at night in Amy's backyard, but now it's 2 years later. He invites Amy to travel with him. She enters the TARDIS in her nightgown, and he promises to get her back the next morning. There is another crack on a display screen in the TARDIS. The TARDIS produces a new sonic screwdriver, and as they begin their adventure, we see Amy's bedroom with a plethora of drawings and dolls of the Doctor she created, along with a wedding dress hanging on the door.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is a biggie for me.
Yeah.
This right here showed the moment that I was pissed, livid, and was ready to get Moffat fired. They did something unconscionable. The new TARDIS, they removed the squeaky hinge from the front door. That door has squeaked since the first episode. At least for me, you miss it from that moment on until they finally came back to their senses and put the squeak back in.
Because of other fan reactions.
Does it just randomly come
think.
back?
I'm pretty sure it comes back before the end of the first season, but yeah, fans were very annoyed. And for me, that was just kind of like the final straw of, I'm not going to like this Doctor.
I thought it was Amy leaving the night before her wedding. It's like...
That's what I thought you were going to say.
You know, just... That's... I mean, Again, if you switch the roles, if a guy's going out for his one last fling with some other woman who's traveling through time the night before your wedding.
Right, but what what I didn't get the first time around was she says, "Can you have me back by tomorrow morning?"
Yes.
So she's not planning on skipping out on her wedding.
But, and why would Amy believe him?
Yeah. Right.
It's been 14 years. That was 5 minutes.
Because she's
You're going to be
damaged.
back.
Because
You did it
she's-
once, and then I felt so bad for Amy and Rory when it just disappears. The TARDIS is gone again.
Anyway, her formative years were all about this man. Like her whole life, and she grew up, and it was all about this man. She hit puberty thinking about this man. He shows up. She's gonna go.
Amy's in a toxic relationship with him.
Yes, of course.
She believes somebody who said he'd be
Now
back in
that's
5 minutes
realism.
and came 12 years later. She went through all this therapy and stuff because she still believed in him when everyone
Right.
else is telling her no.
This is the most realistic
Then
thing
when
that has
he's
ever
back-
happened on Doctor Who.
Right, but then when he's back,
True.
he just disappears without a trace, without a word for 2 years. She has to know he's not reliable.
Because she's damaged.
Yes. I'll be honest with you, because she says, "Can you get me back before the wedding?" And he says yes. And there's a part of her that's like,
hope
even
you
if
don't.
I don't get back before the wedding,
Yeah.
I'll make
Yep.
do.
She's like, I'm actually inside this box now, so
Yeah.
I don't really care what else happens at this point.
At the exact same time, Moffat has her go into the TARDIS in her nightie. I go and change.
A little personal memory here, guys. The night I met you all, well, not all of you, unfortunately, yeah, but the night that I met most of you, it was Doctor Who trivia, and one of the questions was, what is the first thing Amy says when she goes inside the TARDIS? And I cannot hear that line without thinking of that night. Interestingly. So I immediately, when she said, "I'm in my nightie," I immediately thought of you guys in your little booth over there. Trivia. So,
I think we
feel
did
like-
get that right.
No, yeah, we only got one wrong.
It was Vampires of Venice.
Yeah, and it was Vampires of Venice. And when we get to Vampires of Venice, you'll understand why I was so angry that we missed a Vampire of Venice question.
Can't wait.
So we see the Doctor see the crack on the monitor, and then he turns it off. So is he having Amy come with him, or asking him because it's because of Amy, or because of that aspect of what's going on, and he's trying to solve the plot?
Because
or
she's
both.
connected?
Yeah.
Oh, I
It's
never
definitely
thought of that.
both.
Like, did he come back?
I don't think so. I think it's a crack.
Wow.
It could easily just because of the crack in the wall, or it's both. It is certainly not just because he's interested in Amy.
Right.
That's my opinion.
And that's how I want to uplift the Doctor. I don't want to think the opposite, or the opposite of what you're saying. The way I'm seeing it is the entirety of it, because Moffat always makes the women companions special, and I don't like that.
There has to be a reason.
There's a mystery. There's something
behind this
intriguing.
one.
I don't like it.
I
gets
agree. I
old.
don't like Moffat's take on that.
I want it just to be the crack,
But wouldn't that make Amy special?
and I don't want it to be because she's special.
But he thought she
The
was
difference-
special when he met her in the kitchen.
It's the difference in the writing, in that Russell brought out uniqueness and something special about the average person. And so he made, through time
Rose
and with
was
the
ordinary.
work with the Doctor, Rose became and grew into the Rose that we know. Martha was pretty good at the beginning, but she also grew and found more strength in herself. This one is, there's something weird about this person. Why is there a crack in her wall, not anywhere else? Now this crack is showing up. This person has something to do with some big thing.
It's kind of
And
like
that's Moffat's writing.
it's kind of like reverse engineering it from a place that I don't like.
Yeah, I do feel that if he had taken Amelia, well, that would have been super creepy to take a child.
But a different story.
But it would have been a different story. He is looking at it now as, this is a woman who grew up with this crack pouring information into her for 12 years. And we found out there's more cracks. We found out that there's prophecies involved. Something big's going to happen. And then I'm actually reading it on a monitor inside the
So
TARDIS.
he sees it. He
yes.
sees
Oh,
the
he turns it
crack.
off because he doesn't want her to see it.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's hiding it from her.
Whoa.
He's not saying to her. And that's the other thing that I don't like. I kind of wouldn't mind if he said, "Come travel with me and let's figure out what this crack is."
Yes, completely different take on it.
Completely different, but
I
he
would've-
hides it from her. You're special. There's something strange that I need to figure out about you, but I'm not going to tell you about it. And this Doctor does that again with her in the future.
And I think that's
And
also
also Clara.
And also, that's why I don't like it. They're both hiding something from each other. She's hiding the fact that she's getting married tomorrow, and he's hiding the fact that there's a crack and that he can see another one.
It's
I don't-
actually good writing. It's
I
just,
agree.
It's just
I like
out
it
of
too.
character.
But I understand where you're coming from, but I think
Yes.
that for the same reasons you don't like it are the reasons that I do, because we haven't seen it yet. And
It's not that I don't like that. It's I don't like the pattern of that in his writing. So
Yes.
it isn't necessarily that it happens here with Amy. It's that he does this again, and he never does it. He never does it with any male characters.
And I'm coming at it from a bigger, like, big picture aspect, and not just this singular episode. Because when I watched it for the first time, not knowing anything of what the season was going to be, it was fine by me.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that either.
But she did ask, why me? And he blatantly lies to her.
Yeah.
And that's something that goes back to, I think, River. The doctor always lies.
Yeah.
I didn't like that either.
Yeah, and that is now again that was one of the reasons why I didn't like this doctor in the beginning. And you'll see when we do our next couple episodes, I really was not liking this doctor for certain things that he's saying. I just now it's like, oh, I don't like him saying that line in this episode because I know he's not that way his entire time. So it's like I can now look at the Matt Smith's entire Doctor run and go, yeah, you're the Doctor and you're a really good Doctor. And in these early episodes, they just had you do some things where they were trying to figure you out.
I will say this. She obviously wants to come with me because it's me. If I tell her this, she may not come. And it's important that she comes.
No, I like that.
So
that could work too.
No, but that's
kinda
also
think-
using her.
It is using her.
Yeah.
But it's using her to possibly save the universe, not... for personal gain, and I think he fully well intends to bring her back, tomorrow morning, even though he hasn't been able to get the time right.
And on top of it, Moffat left it vague for the viewer to decide on their own.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I don't know if we ever really do get the answer when Amy finds everything out. I don't know what the doctor says to her.
No.
But we'll get there.
We'll
one
get
day.
there.
okay.
What?
I was gonna say I can think of the moment right now when he starts asking her, "Haven't you ever noticed?" ...
One other question was, did the doctor return to young Amelia at the end of this episode?
That's also vague.
Because they just show her look up and smile.
Oh, yeah.
I never understood that.
I don't get it.
I like that moment.
I took it as she was dreaming and
me
heard the
too.
TARDIS.
That's what I think.
I know what it is.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
does he
Later
visit
on.
her
Yes.
later on?
But
I
in
never
this,
put
it
the two
doesn't
together.
work. This doesn't work in that nothing's changed.
At the when Amy and Rory leave with the frickin' Statue of Liberty episode.
Oh.
That still would have changed her
Yeah.
growing up.
Yeah, because
If he tells her that
Yeah.
everything's going to be okay,
She's not the same.
Then why is she with 4 psychiatrists?
Yeah, you're right.
And see, that's why these little things bug me in hindsight.
They went
That's
out
not
of their
bug me,
way
no.
to put that in there too.
There's no reason to put that in this episode.
Nope. It's good for a one and done episode, but it's not good for a season episode.
But he's saying now that he knows how it pays off, he doesn't like it so much because he doesn't like the payoff.
So Eugene and I are basically opposites.
Yes, that's what I wanted to
Shocking.
Me
I'm fine
too.
with it all.
I think the wedding dress at the end just solidifies my theory that Amy and Rory are just the new Donna.
Oh, with the wedding, yeah, that's true. Runaway Bride.
Well, I love Donna, so bring it on.
say. Some more Moffat referencing his own things is when the doctor snaps his fingers and the TARDIS doors open. And then the doctor also says wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
I didn't know Moffat originated that. Like that
in
was
Blink.
From
Moffat.
Blink? From Blink. Oh, and Moffat in the commentary on the DVD says that Prisoner Zero is jailed for impersonating an army. And the bright blueness of the TARDIS exterior, Moffat was inspired by Peter Cushing's movies and how it looked, how the TARDIS looked in those movies.
He really wanted it clean. It was like it was all repaired. It was like brand spanking new. That's why he took the squeak out.
And then the St. John's ambulance badge is visible for the first time since the War Machines, which is, I believe, the first Doctor. War Machines?
War Machine? Oh, that's one thinking.
War Games is the second Doctor.
Okay.
I think War Machines is the first Doctor.
Yeah.
A production, I guess, continuity error is that the tweed jacket is wrong in the final scenes. When the medium to wider shots, it's one jacket, but when it's the close-ups, it's a different jacket. So notice the pattern on the sleeves. So, the 11th Hour. Who is this episode good for? Or more specifically, this episode is good for who? A new viewer, a casual viewer, a fan of the show, or a diehard?
My answer from 2010 is not even a diehard should watch this episode.
Ouch.
My answer from today is it's good for everybody. You can jump in at this point.
So, new.
No, absolutely.
I will agree with present day Brian. I think it's a great episode to jump in if you haven't seen any Doctor Who before, because everything's brand new and we're all new together.
Yes, brand spanking new. Everyone should watch this episode. Living or dead. I don't care who you are. You should watch it. At least 50 times a year, a day. I don't know. I don't know if my feelings are clear or not, so I'll try and elaborate more next time. So I'll just say it a lot.
You'll say that your opinion of it a lot? Just kidding.
Well, I think it's a better episode for a new viewer than a casual fan, because I know this isn't part of the category, but it's not for the casual fan. But anybody, this is a great episode to just jump in if you've never even seen it.
To be a Doctor Who fan means you have to go through your first regeneration.
This is true. Yes.
Thus says the Book of Brian.
It's my favorite first Doctor episode. I think this is a good episode for a new viewer. I know that this episode created fans out of people, so I'm gonna say new.
This episode was a major change. It wasn't just the cast, but production and writing. The tone is different, how it's shot is different, production, and that reason I would definitely think it's almost better for a new Who viewer. But I think this one would be one that you can start somebody off, because it is such a big difference in fresh start. It's almost like starting off with the Ninth Doctor, because it's so different from the classic seasons or series. So that's where mine is.
For me, I enjoyed the episode when I first watched it, and it's still good for me. I really enjoy the music. All this music that Murray Gold has done, I think helps, like I mentioned before, transition us from a new production team, a new Doctor, new writing style, a new look, and helps ease the pain a little bit of losing our old Doctor and getting this new guy. And Matt Smith does great as the comic relief, and I wrote down that it goes from that like cinematic lighting to the comic relief and the silliness of the food when he's tasting, his new taste buds aren't working properly, and then it goes quickly into the horror mystery aspect of what's the crack in the wall, what's this Prisoner Zero stuff. And I like the balance that this episode, the 11th Hour, does with the ebbs and flows and valleys and peaks and other metaphors with roller coaster things in it. I like that it balances all of that, despite all the negative things I have been bringing up. And I think it ends with Amy and the Doctor. I grew up. And he says, don't worry, I'll soon fix that.
Yeah.
And it's a standalone episode. I like that. So yes, this can be a new Who viewer.
Yes. God, I'm so happy right now.
I will say one thing that I was disappointed that they set up but they never paid off is that they mentioned the library and the pool. And this all these rooms in the TARDIS, and I was like, hey, we're gonna go like the classic Legopolis and go into the rooms and see everything, and we never
want to.
do.
We run
I
past
want brain TARDIS.
I do.
It lives in here, in the brain area, and that's fine. I don't need to see it.
So that wraps up the 11th Hour. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time when the future becomes the present.
You've just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
Find him on Facebook at The Universe Explodes.
All our episodes are engineered by Auburn.
You can find him at auburnbinkley.com.
You can also find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
Or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WhoKnewPodcast.
Visit our Facebook page.
Please leave comments, reviews, and click like to help support Who Knew Podcast.
Also, listen to us on your Amazon Echo by enabling a podcast skill.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who,
The longest running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival, spearheaded by Russell T. Davis,
Thanks to Russell,
Sydney Newman,
Verity Lambert,
Ron Grainer,
Delia Derbyshire.
And all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
your work continues to inspire and entertain.
I mean, you may want to edit this out, but like, I wasn't joking. I wasn't joking. I can't quite remember how it ends.